are, buddy. This is the Jaz McKay Show on your Twitch, also on your Facebook Live, and over there at your YouTubes, too. Some good stuff to get into today. First and foremost, my prayers going out to my friend Sandra. Her mother is in a nursing home, and the way our elderly are being treated now, especially with the COVID and everything, is just unbelievable. I don't know the name of the home right offhand, and even if I did, I don't know if I should even bring it up. I imagine this is all done by various agencies. I imagine there are governmental agencies that make these determinations on how things will be handled under certain circumstances. And as it turns out that in this particular home that my friend Sandra's mom is in, one person, I don't know if it was a staff member or one of the residents of the home, contracted the COVID. And so as a result, they not only shut down the entire nursing home, but they confined everyone to their rooms, and they've been confined to their rooms for 14 days. They can't even leave their own rooms. And Sandra's mother is, according to what I saw on Facebook last night, not doing well. She's 91 years old, and it's just, I don't know, man, it's just a damn shame that I don't get it. You know, Sandra wasn't even able to see her until just recently, and that's because Hoffman Hospice is involved. And so now she's spending time with her, sitting in the room with her, but you know, how about all these other folks that are going through the same thing? Elderly people now on lockdown, inside of lockdown. They're on lockdown in their rooms. They can't even get up and leave the room. And I gotta tell you, I think to myself, these older folks in their 90s, I know what it was like for my mom when she was in her 70s, and she was very, very ill. She was very sick. She had diabetes. She had kidney problems, and she was on dialysis, as a matter of fact. I know how it was for her back at that time. She just basically was just willing herself to die. You know, she was the depression that our elderly folks go through, it's tough. It's hard. And I wish there was a better way of handling it than what we've got so far. Anyway, so my best wishes going out to Millie and to Sandra. We're thinking about you, Sandra, and praying for you and for your mom. Okay, I came up with, I thought about something today, and I decided to ask a question on my Facebook page. I decided I wanted to ask a question on my Facebook page about something that we all know all too well here in Kern County, and that's the valley fever. Now, I you know, with the COVID thing being such a big deal, I was just curious as to what you, as now, folks outside of Kern County may not understand this question, but those of you inside of Kern County, and you'll get this, my question is, what do you fear more contracting? What are you more afraid of contracting? COVID-19 or valley fever? That was a question that I thought I would ask folks. What do you fear more contracting? And that's actually right there. Let me see if I can set this up. Okay, no, I'm not going to be able to. There it is. This was a question. I was curious. What are you more afraid? I should have had this prepared. But anyway, so there's the question. What are you more afraid of contracting, folks? COVID-19 or valley fever? Like I said, those people who don't live within around Kern County may not understand why I asked that question. It's a respiratory illness that affects people in Kern County more than, I guess, I don't know if it's only here or if it's more apt to happen here. But here in Kern County, I've known people who've contracted valley fever and they have never gotten over it. I mean, yeah, you get better. Some of them get better, but it lingers, and the complications linger for a very long time. And I was kind of looking around to see what the rate is. You know, which of the what do we have more cases of? And so far, just in one little graph that I found indicates that so far this year, we have almost an equal amount of COVID cases this year as we had in 2018, which is the last year that we have any records of valley fever. So if you get a chance, I would love for you to go over to my Facebook page and let us know. I'm not asking, of course, the question is, do you fear more of contracting, COVID-19 or valley fever? I'm discovering something kind of interesting. More people have said I'm not asking which one you want, which one would you prefer over the other. I'm just asking, which one is more frightening to you and which one is more real to you? And it's also, by the way, just should point out that that's not the only reason. It's not just that. I'm kind of trolling because I'm curious as to how many people are going to get really pissed off that I even asked that question. Because, man, the people with the mask police are just going nuts online. They are they're telling. It's funny because I think they're under the impression that those of us who are questioning whether or not we should wear a mask, or those of us that don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't understand. But when I do wear a mask, I wear a very stylish mask. This is the one that I choose to wear. And this mask pisses off as many people as I piss off when I say I don't want to wear a mask. I've had one person on Facebook say, well, if that's a mask you want to wear, fine, just as long as you're wearing a mask. But everybody else goes, oh, you're an evil racist, Jaz McKay, you evil racist. So I'm curious as to what your reaction is to the question, what are you more afraid of contracting, those of you in Kern County? And do you wear a mask? If you're more concerned about valley fever than you are COVID, I would have to ask you, when you're out and about, because valley fever isn't something that you catch from another person, all right? It's not infectious. You get it by breathing in spores from the dust and the schmutz and the dirt that we have here in Kern County. So when you breathe in those spores, that just, the thought of breathing in spores is like, yeah. But you don't catch it from another person. Not valley fever. COVID you catch from another person. Valley fever, though, you contract by just literally walking to your car and inhaling this horrible, nasty valley air that we have. And it's kicked up these spores, apparently. by the wind and the dust and things like that. That's why we love rain so much in Kern County, because one of the reasons anyway, besides lowering the temperature, it also lowers the possibility that any dust is going to be flying around. But I'm curious as to what are you more fearful of? What would you rather not get? And I think maybe because a lot of people are saying valley fever because we're more used to that. If you've lived here for any length of time, like a month or two or three, you know about valley fever. You find out about it pretty quickly. So go to the Jaz McKay page on Facebook or Jazariah McKay. I've got it at both pages. And vote. And I'm just curious. And be honest. There's no right or wrong answer. Now, for all of you mask Nazis out there, I'm curious as to whether or not that pisses you off that I even bring it up. That I even would bring up such a thing. Oh, that's apples and oranges, Jazz. Do you wear a mask? You mask Nazis, let me ask you this. Do you wear a mask or have you worn a mask in the past to prevent yourself from contracting valley fever? When you go out and do yard work, or when you go out hiking, or when you go wherever you go, it literally could be anywhere where you breathe in, you could breathe in dust and valley fever spores. Do you wear a mask? Have you in the past worn a mask? I've known people. I knew a guy whose secretary at his place of employment, his secretary, was murdered. Now get ready, check this out. This goes back about 15 years ago. Was murdered by her teenage son because he had contracted the valley fever and it drove him insane, and he hacked his mother to death. Well, that's a true story. Good heavens. That was right after I moved here. It was actually a neighbor of mine who's secretary. All of a sudden, they discover her body. She's been hacked and stabbed and cut up and all this shit, right? And it was because her son, apparently undiagnosed valley fever, gets up into the head and it infects your brain. It made him into a psycho, and he ended up murdering his mother. I mean, there's just God Almighty, it's as frightening as all hell when you think about the valley fever. But do we take nearly the precautions? Have we, as a society in Kern County, taken nearly the precautions that we're taking for COVID-19 to protect ourselves from getting the valley fever? And which one of those two are you fearful of the most? Which one seems to be more of a reality, at least to you? And I'm curious, have you ever heard of people that have died who had valley fever, but let's say they died in some other fashion, some other way? Let's say they had a heart attack, but they had valley fever at the time that they had the heart attack. And the valley fever really didn't contribute to the heart attack, and the heart attack's what killed them. Have you ever heard of anybody who's died from having a heart attack, or died from cancer, or any other thing that could possibly kill them, and they just happened to have valley fever at the time, and valley fever ends up being listed on their death certificate for the cause of death? Just curious if that's ever happened, because it has happened with COVID. It's happened all over the country with COVID. And so just curious about that. Anyway, so I don't know if you've heard what happened in Chicago, but this is out of control. A family goes to a funeral home for the funeral of a young man who was killed by a bunch of gangbangers, and guess what happens? Somebody comes up, opens fire on all of the family members of the gangbanger who was being laid to rest in this funeral home, and shoots 15, 16 people. Thank God they survived, But there's a big shootout in Chicago. What the hell is going on in Chicago? Let's get the latest from Chicago News.
Yeah, so we know that police updated the information early this morning, now saying that there were 15 victims shot outside of this funeral home during an exchange of gunfire. We have learned that 10 of those victims were women, with the oldest victim being a 65-year-old woman, the largest number of victims brought here to Christ. And we also know that a person of interest is now being questioned in custody.
As the people were coming out of the funeral home, then the shots rang out like they were literally waiting on them to come out.
So police tell us they found at least 60 shell casings at the scene. It happened right outside Rhodes Funeral Home on 79th and Carpenter in the city's Auburn-Gresham neighborhood. It was just before 6:30 last night when police say a black vehicle heading west on 79th started firing toward a group outside. That group attending the funeral of another man who died from gun violence. And it's likely police knew something was up because they had a police car stationed outside that funeral home as a precaution. Now, police say the group that was fired upon returned fire, hitting that black vehicle. Police also tell us that vehicle hit a parked car. Then the 4 people inside bailed and ran from the scene. Now, police in the end say that there were 15 shooting victims taken to 5 different hospitals, 5 now in serious condition. The youngest victim, a 21-year-old woman. Mayor Lightfoot has been taking heat from residents and President Trump about this summer's worsening gun violence. And yesterday she announced federal agents will be coming in after all, after initially refusing the help. Now, we talked to some residents who saw the aftermath of this shooting, and they think federal help is a good idea.
I give it a thumbs up because of the violence that's continuing day in and day out, weekend, little children, and it's just unnatural that all this violence, like we're literally in a war zone.
It's really sad in these communities. But the children can come out and play. We can't walk to the store. We can't go to a laundromat. We can't go attend a funeral. Who can't attend a funeral? Good gracious.
So Mayor Lightfoot tweeting late last night, too many guns are on our streets and in the hands of people who should never possess them. These individuals will be held accountable. She's asking anyone with information to send that information to cpdtip.com. We know that the mayor and the police superintendent will be having an 8:30 news conference at City Hall. Reporting live from Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn, Courtney Gooseman, WGN News. Protesters took to Federal Plaza yesterday after learning President Trump plans to send as many as 150 federal agents to Chicago to help control the city's deadly issue of gun violence.
If they try it, I'm going to use every tool at my disposal to stop them.
President Trump and his administration critical of Mayor Lightfoot, saying she's not properly addressing the issue. Backing President Trump is Police Union President John Catanzara, who sent this letter to the White House Saturday calling Mayor Lightfoot a complete failure who was either unwilling or unable to maintain law and order in Chicago. He asked for the feds to step in and assist Chicago police.
We've got an unhinged leader of the Fraternal Order of Police who is craven and trying to generate attention. We're not going to have people that don't know our streets, don't know our neighborhoods, and then are engaging in clearly unconstitutional conduct, operating at will in our city.
Mayor Lightfoot expressing her outrage on primetime cable last night and saying the police superintendent is not in favor of the feds coming in. If federal agents are deployed, it is critical that they coordinate with the Chicago Police Department and work alongside us to fight violent crime in Chicago. Monday, Mayor Lightfoot sent this letter to President Trump telling him there was no need to send in federal agents. She referenced this weekend's clashes with protesters in Portland.
Having these armed camouflage individuals with no insignia on, no nameplates, grabbing people off the street, that's unconstitutional. So our democracy is at stake. And I'll be darned if I'm going to let anybody, even if their name is Mr. President, bring those kind of troops to our city and try to take off our residents. That's not going to happen in Chicago.
Are you as unhinged as Mayor Lightfoot says you are? See, she's putting it on you, Mr. Catanzara. That's what she's doing, putting it on you. And maybe it's Fox or it's Trump or everyone but looking in the mirror and also going after the criminals.
Well, good evening, Laura. Thanks for having me. First of all, the mayor likes to use the word unhinged. The ironic part is that the mayor became unhinged. I wish I could show you the text messages that she sent me over the weekend as soon as she found out that I had sent the request to President Trump. I mean, she was the one who became totally unhinged, unprofessional, childish. It was really pathetic for a leader of a city.
Well, right now we have carnage as far as the eye can see. We don't know what will happen. We certainly hope we don't have deaths out of these injuries, but it looked pretty wild out there in the scene that they were showing. This is outside of a funeral home. So if you're going to shoot outside of a funeral home where there was some signage about the funeral they had on the street, and apparently there was some police presence somewhere on the scene, you've gotten really bold, haven't you, John? You're pretty bold at that point as a criminal. You're not worried.
Well, like Sean's guest just said, the bold is there because they know there's no consequences. The justice system in Cook County is totally broken, all the way from the President Preckwinkle to Kim Foxx, the prosecutor, to Tom Dart, the sheriff, to Tim Evans, the chief judge. They have no idea what real justice is. And that's basically the bloodbath in the street is the result.
Well, Lori Lightfoot, just to bring people into this back and forth, to put it politely, John, between you and Lightfoot, this is what she said. Everyone watch.
We've got an unhinged leader of the Fraternal Order of Police who is craven and trying to generate attention. This is a dangerous road for us to go down. We're not going to have people that don't know our streets engaging in clearly unconstitutional conduct, operating at will in our city. That is chaos. That is lawlessness.
That's chaos. What we're seeing tonight wasn't chaos, but you're wanting federal help and actual assistance is chaos. This woman doesn't know her own city. Okay, it's a travesty. I thought I was mad about other things tonight, given what's going on in this country, but this is an outrage. It's a great American city. It's being disserved by her. She's a radical. They need to toss her out of office. John, go ahead.
She's literally running the Titanic into an iceberg intentionally. 56 rounds fired, I'm told, and 17 people shot tonight at a funeral where there was police, obviously special attention because of the gang victim that was already being waked at the funeral home. The irony about her not knowing the city streets and the federal officers, and this isn't a knock on Superintendent Brown because I really like Superintendent Brown, but she just hired an outsider who didn't know the city, who didn't know the streets. So what's the difference? Again, she's a big hypocrite. She has a bit of a Napoleon complex. If you don't agree with her, heaven forbid.
Well, if funeral attendees, I understand, returned fire on the vehicle. So these were all gangbangers, right? I mean, this is, if you had to just sum it up and for us, I mean, you conjecture at this point, we need to know more. But people are firing on each other. We called it the Wild West. This is a killing field in Chicago. And we're complaining about Trump. Are you kidding me? Talk about blame shifting, putting it on you and the Fraternal Order of Police or the cops on the beat. What the heck are the cops supposed to do when they have no support from City Hall? What are they supposed to do?
You highlighted the obviously increase in shootings and murders, but Superintendent Brown basically said yesterday that the police department has recovered 5,400 guns so far this year off the streets of Chicago. Now, as he properly highlighted, that's 5,400 deadly encounters that the men and women of the police department have dealt with over the first 6 months of this year, and not a single person, well, I shouldn't say not a single person. I think there's only been 3 shootings that resulted in death. But my point is, how many more guns or how many more murders would occur if those guns weren't taken off the street? And more importantly, there's a lot of people that were arrested with those guns that were immediately let back out on the street again. And it goes right back to Kim Foxx and the broken county jail system.
This is the revolving door of so-called criminal justice reform. Someone's arrested on a Monday, they're released on Tuesday morning, they get their criminal defender, their public defender, and we're crying about how unfair the system is. And I just want to, and if everyone's just joining us tonight, there was a disturbing scene in Chicago a few hours ago at a funeral where we had 14 people shot, many in the hospital. People were returning fire from the funeral to the cars that were going off in different directions, apparently that were responsible for the shootings, coming from multiple directions, the reports we're getting tonight. John. And at the same time as this is happening tonight, we have utter lawlessness in another great American city of Portland, Oregon. And we have people in Portland, Oregon who are telling the media not to cover it because that tells a very distorted story. And people are covering it because they want to hurt people politically. No, we want to cover it because we want to save lives, property, and livelihoods. What will happen if AOC and the gang get their way with Biden and the whole crowd and defund the police? Because this is defund and dismantle the police movements across this country. John, is tonight's scene going to be repeated across urban America?
Well, I don't know about urban America, but, Chicago's pretty unique to anywhere else in the country. I've said it time and time again that we're approximately, New York is 2.5 times the size population-wise to Chicago, but we have 40% more murders than the whole city of New York. Just let that sink in. I mean, there is a lawless mindness set in this city where, they just do whatever they want because there is no repercussion. There is no accountability. This is piggybacking on Friday night's scene where there was a large group of officers trying to protect a Christopher Columbus statue that was being attempted to be pulled down. 52 officers were injured in that melee, and they want to pretend like this was just a handful of anarchists that embedded themselves in this protest. The protesters knew that this was going to happen. They protected these people until they went down. And we talk about accountability, lastly, just this point. So accountability, they cry that police officers don't speak out, the thin blue line. They protect bad behavior. What about all those good protesters who stood there and watched these anarchists hurl fireworks, frozen water, bricks at officers and did nothing? They did nothing.
You're damn right. You're damn right. They did nothing. It's always the same with these lefties, isn't it? It's always the same. Oh, don't blame the peaceful protesters because of the actions of a few. Oh, don't blame all of Islam for the actions of a few terrorists. Oh, but we got to blame the National Rifle Association and law-abiding citizens for every illegal gun out there. In fact, that's what the damn mayor, Lori Lightfoot, has said repeatedly. She said it again. It's Trump's fault. The shooting at the funeral home is Trump's fault. She may as well go ahead and blame the NRA because she's claiming that the reason that crime is so out of control in Chicago, it's not her fault. It's not it's not her. It couldn't possibly be the city council's responsibility. Couldn't possibly be Lightfoot's responsibility. No. The reason is because of all of the guns that are on the streets. Because Donald Trump and the Republicans in Washington, D.C. have not passed comprehensive gun control legislation. It's always the same with them, isn't it? Oh, it's all the guns' fault. It's all the Republicans and the National Rifle Association. So they want gun control, which takes guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens while doing nothing to take the guns out of the hands of criminals. That's what she said. This woman, who elected this dumb broad anyway? Who on earth? How could the people of Chicago? What is it with these? And by the way, all this crap about Trump is going after the liberal cities. Trump is only threatening to send in troops, and they're not troops, by the way. They're law enforcement agents. Why is Trump only sending them to liberal cities? Because your fucking liberal cities are a hellhole because of the liberal policies and the politics. You've got district attorneys being elected in these cities and mayors being elected in these cities who are beholden to George Soros, who were put there because of George Soros, because he bought the elections for them. It's not It's not the legal gun. Look at that. Look at what happened to the McCluskeys in St. Louis. They're being charged. Now, thank God, the Attorney General, the governor of Missouri, everybody stepping up to the plate saying, no. No, you're allowed to go outside. You're allowed to go outside and protect yourself. You're allowed. When there's a mob of psychotic leftist wacko-commie wackadoodles coming onto your property threatening to kill you, you have a right. No, you have a response. My dog is walking away because I'm getting pissed off. You have not only a right but a responsibility to take your gun, take your firearm. Oh, by the way, did you hear this? Mrs. McCluskey's gun that was confiscated a week or so ago was inoperable. That little Walther, I think it's a Walther PPK, I'm not sure. Couldn't quite tell from the pictures that I saw of her. She's standing there holding, she's standing there in the picture, she's holding a gun like this. The gun is inoperable. It was that particular day. The gun was inoperable. Therefore, they could not file charges against her based on an inoperable gun. But you know what the district attorney did? She had the gunsmith at the St. Louis Police Department make the gun operable so they could file charges on her. That's the God's honest truth. Look it up. Look it up. So in St. Louis, the district attorney is trying to tell the idiot bags that actually elected this woman is trying to tell everybody that it's illegal to defend yourself. And look at all these assholes on MSNBC and CNN running their mouths about the McCluskey situation. Oh, they came out. Those were peaceful demonstrators. What the fuck you talking about? Peaceful fucking demonstrators. The fucking assholes were on their property, first of all. That's trespassing. You come on my property. You come up my sidewalk. I don't give a damn. I'm going to tell you to get the hell off my property. I'll give you a chance. I will give you a chance to get the hell off of my property. And if you don't, guess what? Guns a-blazing. You're damn fucking straight. Especially if you're walking up my walk, up my little sidewalk in my little humble home in Oildale, and you're coming up and you intend to do me harm. You threaten to kill my dog? You threaten my life and my wife's life? You're a dead motherfucker. I will defend myself. And you have not only a right, but a fucking responsibility to defend yourself. But not according to the district attorney of St. Louis. That bitch needs to go. That bitch needs to go. I don't even think that there's time to wait. I don't know. I got to look it up and see exactly when she was voted in and when she's up for re-election. But I don't think there's time to wait for re-election on this woman. The people of St. Louis have got to do something and get rid of her. Recall, whatever it is. She is not fit for the job. And this is exactly what you get when you vote for these psychotic, they're not liberals. That's something else. Stop calling these people liberals. They're not liberals. These are communists. These are progressive socialist communists. And they have been put in power because of George Soros and his, whatever the name of the organization is, Open Societies or something like that. They're the ones making the huge donations to these campaigns. We got one up in San Francisco, got one down in L.A. too. Thank God we haven't got them here where I live in Kern County, by God. Somebody's coming up your sidewalk, and you tell them, get the fuck off my sidewalk, and they don't do it, and they keep coming at you, and they're threatening to kill you and threatening to kill your wife. I remember these words, all of you, okay? Everybody listening? Remember these words. I was in fear of my life. Those are the words that you tell the police when they arrive and they have to clean up the mess off your front lawn or your front porch. or wherever they are. I was in fear for my life. If you're in fear for your life, you have every right. You have more than a right. You have a responsibility as an American and as a citizen of Kern County to use deadly force in protection of your life. That's all there is to it. Period. But this is what we're going to get more of. If we lose in this next election, that's what we get more of. If Donald Trump loses to Joe Biden, it ain't going to be just a bunch of hair sniffing. I mean, that's all cute and that's all funny and everything, and we can talk about that all damn day. But what you're going to get, it's going to be very, very dangerous, is gun confiscation, and they will pass laws. I mean, everything, I can't even believe this dumbass broad in fucking St. Louis has even filed any charges against this couple for what they did. I'm stunned at that. Because he clearly states in Missouri law that you are allowed to protect yourself. In Missouri, Missouri has one of the most open self-defense laws in the nation. It's a Castle Doctrine state. It's legal to protect yourself. It is legal. And when this shit starts to happen, when the shit hits the fan, and a mob of psychos are walking up your driveway, banging on drums, "We're going to kill you, we're going to kill you," they shout. "You're dead, MFer. You damn well best believe I'll be whooping out my hardware." Yes, indeed, brother. And you should too. When this shit happens and they're threatening you, they're on your property. Right then and there, you see that. That is the property of Mr. and Mrs. McCluskey. I don't give a damn if they got some big looking, 80s mega mansion or some shit. I don't give a damn. You know what I heard one of these assholes say on MSNBC last night? I saw a clip. It was on Fox News. But one of these assholes from MSNBC said, "These are their neighbors. These were their neighbors that they were threatening." Those aren't your fucking neighbors. And you know what? What if they were? What if it was your neighbor from across the street? What if it's Herb, the guy that borrowed your lawnmower last week? He's all drunk and meth. He's all been smoking the meth pipe and all that shit. And he decides he's just going to kill you. I don't give a damn if it is your fucking neighbor. You still defend yourself in any way you can. Because by God, let me tell you something, man, if it's going to be between me and them, it's going to be them. You're damn right. I got shotguns. I got handguns. I got rifles. They're all over the damn house. I'd rather just keep them all in my safe. But my safe is only half full right now because I got all my guns spread out in the house. You need a gun in every damn room. You know that, right? You need a gun within an arm's length. In today's day and age, with the way things are going, I mean, look at this shit. What if these sons of bitches, what if this was you? What if these sons of bitches were coming up your sidewalk? You tell me, what are you going to do? You tell me, what are you going to do when this shit starts happening? And it is going to happen. It is going to happen. Especially. Now, here's the thing with me. I know this would be the case. I got a Trump flag hanging from the eaves of my house. I got a flagpole in my front yard with an American flag at the top of it. And the Blue Lives Matter flag, or the thin blue line flag, whatever you want to call it, hanging underneath it. And God forbid that I ever have to defend myself and my home and my family and my dog God forbid, I got to defend my family. Because you know what's going to happen? God forbid. If I do, you know what's going to happen. I will not be look, unless there's some. I'm way too well trained in self-defense with a firearm to get in any trouble with our district attorney. We got a good DA here in Kern County. But you know what's going to happen? If I did have to dispatch some BLM psychopath coming up my walk, threatening to kill me, his family will sue the shit out of me because I violated his civil rights. That's what they do nowadays. We're going to sue the shit out of me. I have to go hire a freaking attorney and deal with all that shit because he provoked him. I did? How did I provoke him to come up my walk? I got a fence with a gate that's locked, and he jumps my fence, climbs my whatever, and he starts going, well, you provoked him by putting that Trump flag up on your house. You can't put a Trump. The fuck I can't. Hell's bells, motherfucker. If I wanted to fly the fucking Confederate flag from my fucking flagpole, I can do it. And that ain't provoking anybody. Oh, you can't do that. You can't put up a flag. You can't put a Blue Lives Matter flag or a thin blue line flag or whatever you want to call it. You can't do that. That's provoking people. Fuck that shit. I'm sorry. I just get so fucking pissed off at this crap. And I, for one, have fucking had it. I have had it up to here. With all the political correctness and all the pussyfooting around, and don't you think they're not trying to take your guns? Well, we all know that. We knew that before Beto O'Rourke said, oh, of course I'm going to take your guns. Well, you just try it, son of a bitch. Oh, by the way, I got a text message yesterday because I have a Texas area code, and I got a text message yesterday from some douchebag that apparently works for Beto O'Rourke and wanted to know, who are you going to vote? Because I got a 713 area code on my phone. That's Houston, by God, Texas. All right? And because of that, I got a text message from Beto's people wanting to know, hey, look, I'm Dave. Yeah, this is Dave. And I'm texting you from Beto O'Rourke's new We the People, or whatever the fuck he calls his little organization. Can we ask you who you're going to vote for president? I said, Trump, motherfucker. Trump. Donald fucking Trump. And they called me, what do they call me? John. Said, hi, John, this is Dennis. Or hi, John, this is Dave. Or whatever the name he said. And we're asking you who you're going to vote for. I said, I'm voting for Trump, motherfucker. That's what I texted back to him. And my name isn't John. Fuck you. I'm sorry. There I go again. Getting all worked up here on the podcast. I better take a break. I better try and calm my ass down just for a moment here. Take a deep breath before I have a heart attack. Like my buddy Jason back in Michigan says, Jazz, you about to drop dead. You get so, well, I can't help it. You know why I get pissed off? Because I'm paying attention. That's why. And that shit right there pisses me the hell off.
The Jaz McKay Show is on.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Teeth R Us, the world's largest tooth care center. Remember, when you have a bad tooth pulled at Teeth R Us, we'll remove 2 healthy teeth absolutely free. And don't forget to bring the kids along to swim in our heated, Olympic-sized 40-foot spit sink.
Hey, Ma. What in the fuck? Are you talking right now? Is this about me cutting your balls off?
I wish you didn't smoke weed.
I wish you didn't shit in the house so much, so I guess we both got wishes, right?
You're not the same when you smoke. And I miss my friend.
Yeah? Well, I miss my signed Tom Brady jersey you chewed up, you little shit.
I'll be outside.
Yeah, and you're gonna be out there all night, too. Wait. I don't even have a dog. Holy shit. I gotta call Tommy and get another half ounce. Fucking talking dogs.
community. Yep. Look at them. They're
Not like Republicans.
Here. They're taking
doing a great job.
free of charge.
Yep.
I like
Free
the
of
way
charge.
this man right here is using safety precautions in case there's a
Oh,
fire.
he's doing wonderful.
He's holding
Yep.
a fire extinguisher just in case.
Fire extinguisher, OSHA approved.
You know, I mean, look at this. This guy has umbrellas there for safety.
It's
the press
great.
is there. Look at this.
Very
This
proud.
is great. Amazon. What a great store. A lot of
Great
people
store.
are lining up to go shopping.
Hi, Karen.
Yeah, a lot of people are, putting some artwork up there. Looks like they're doing a little remodeling. Look
Karen.
at this fine lady right here. She's doing
Hi,
great.
Karen.
Yep, good cops need to quit, of course.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense.
Hey,
She's socially
watch your step.
distancing with her mask on. Everybody's got their mask on.
Watch your step,
Great
Karen.
community right here. Thank you. Thank
Watch
you,
your
Karen.
step.
Watch your step. Look at this. A lot of artwork going on. A lot of people taking
artwork.
part in arts and crafts.
Absolutely.
Hey, buddy.
Yep.
Hey,
buddy.
Yep. He's probably needs to go to the bathroom.
Yep. Gotta take a poop.
Yeah. Peaceful.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta look at these.
Very
hey,
peaceful.
buddy. Hi,
Hey,
Kevin.
friend.
Kevin. He's gotta go to the bathroom too.
Oh,
Gotta
yep.
give them their privacy, guys. That's
all-
what the umbrellas
all
are
about
for.
privacy.
Look at this wonderful job they've done here. This
Oh, it's
is
amazing.
Great. Wow.
I'm blown away with
They have
with
really
caring.
remodeled this place. They're getting stuff done in
beautiful.
their community. This
Absolutely.
is great. The Seattleans.
It is.
If they want to be called
Well,
that,
Portlanders
the
as well.
Seattleans. Wow. Lot of
Yeah,
great
it's
looking
beautiful.
artwork over here.
Absolutely. It's
Free
gorgeous.
speech. Please.
Oh, free speech, the Constitution.
Look at
This is
stuff
America.
here, guys. Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. Look at
Not
this.
like Trump.
They are
Dirty
really
Trump.
doing some work. Putting in a fence
Really doing work
here.
for America.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
It's
just-
gorgeous.
I'm proud. I'm
I hate
proud. Is
Trump.
all I can say. Look at this. They're
I'm
coming
more proud.
together as a community.
Like a
Peacefully.
family.
They're not doing nothing
Peacefully,
wrong. Look
absolutely.
at all that wonderful, beautiful artwork.
It's gorgeous. Yep. It's
Unreal.
America.
I am just, as a
I'm blown away.
politician and, as
an
just a
American.
human being, I am
Absolutely.
absolutely moved. Look at these people.
This is what it should look like.
Peacefully protesting.
Peacefully.
And just
It's a
making
key
the
word.
community look even better than it already was.
Oh, it looks amazing.
This is
Yep.
great. Oh,
It's gorgeous.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And I mean,
I
without
just
Trump,
saw
it'd be
I
better.
want to move here. Look at how beautiful
I
that
want to live
looks.
here too.
That is
It's
gorgeous.
gorgeous.
It's like a
it's beautiful.
farmer's
It's-
market. Everybody's
even
over
better
there.
than it's like
So
Disneyland.
You got to follow the rules. So we got
You gotta
the press
follow the rules.
there.
You do.
Oh, this is
Yep.
great. Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. You guys
you.
are wonderful.
You
This
guys
is
are
why I'm proud to be
amazing.
an American. This
I'm
is
more
why.
proud.
It's not the way that
Yeah, this
Donald
is
Trump
great.
is doing business. He's a horrible man. This is
I
what
hate him.
America
He's-
should look like.
his whole family is
This,
trash.
Look at this. Freedom.
Yep, this is it.
This is just
Freedom of speech.
It's like the summer of love. This
Oh,
is
it's better
look
than
at
that. It's
They're
like the
just
Wizard of
doing
Oz.
it free of charge.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
That's what real Americans
Thank
do.
you. I'm
It's-
gonna
thank
send
you.
them a card. I'm gonna send them
yeah,
a
like a
card and tell them
poster.
how appreciative
Maybe a gift card
I
to
am for
Applebee's.
all their hard work. Look at
Oh,
him.
yeah,
He's
that's
got a
great.
baseball bat because they don't have any
Yep.
tools. Oh, look
They're
at him.
inventive.
He's probably over there
They're just-
hammering away. Good for look
Biggest
at him
hearts
over
in the
there.
world.
Good for you.
Oh, it's great. We love
Good
you.
for you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
You guys are
Thank
the
you,
best.
guys.
Ah,
You are more than
Proud.
the best.
proud
Prouder.
is all I can say.
Proud is all I can ever be.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Proud to be an American right here.
Prouder,
Look at this great
prouder.
group of people.
You're the best.
Unreal. Thank you.
This morning I didn't have time for an idiot. I just didn't have time. I've got too much going on. And I go in my local Allsup's. I've got a bag in each hand coming out the door. When up to the door comes the type of guy that I like to talk about anyway. He's about a 45-year-old man with his cap on backwards. And I shoulder into the door to hold it open for him, and he reaches to catch it, and I walk on by. Now, I'm remind you, I'm carrying something in each hand. As I walk past him, he's got the door in his hand. He says, well, you could have held it open. Folks, let me tell you something. I'm all for chivalry. You don't hold a door open for a lady, I'm going to call you out on it. You don't hold the door open for somebody else coming through that you see coming, I'm going to call you out on it. But in that particular situation, I didn't have time for an idiot. But I made time. I stopped and turned around and said, let me tell you something, you son of a bitch. First of all, the visor's on the front of your ball cap, not on the back. Secondly, you can open the damn door for yourself. And thirdly, I wouldn't consider you feminine or good looking enough to hold the door for anyway, you dipshit.
Pushing your buttons and pushing the envelope on free speech. It's the Jazz Man, Jaz McKay on Twitch.
Welcome back, man. It's the Jaz McKay podcast mask extravaganza here at Twitch.tv. And I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you tuning in our little extreme stream. Hey, that's a good name for the show. Somebody told me the other day, said you got to come up with a better name than just the Jaz McKay Show. How about the Jaz McKay's Extreme Stream? I know I've got, 8 people here in the Twitch. We got to get those numbers up, too. I don't know what the hell I got to do to try and get people to watch. I know that there's an awful lot of folks, and I do appreciate this especially, who tune in the program at, later on in the day, because a lot of y'all a lot of y'all are working, believe it or not. There's a lot of people got jobs out there. And there's still some folks still working. Terry, yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. There's some people out there actually have a freaking job. I know, right? Hard to believe, but it's true. So anyway, I do appreciate that. I tell you what, folks, it's rough. It's rough nowadays, yeah. And like I was telling you, I'm prepared. I try to be as prepared as possible in the eventuality that I need to be. And I'm hoping that I don't have to resort to any form of violence, but I don't consider it wise to threaten people in their own home. I don't consider it wise to threaten anybody, any damn place, any damn where. But I'm just gonna be as straight with you as I possibly can. Here, we are in a time now. This isn't affecting us here in Kern County the way it is in places like Chicago or New York or Detroit, where the police, I heard today that the Yonkers police they're no longer going to travel across the border into Manhattan to back up the New York PD, because just get one thing wrong. Just one little thing wrong, and guess what? You're done. One cop. Just get one thing wrong. So, our police protection here in Kern County, we got some great, as a matter of fact, I'd say great cops. We always hear that 99.9% of all cops are good, decent cops. I'd say it's closer to 99.99999% of all cops in Kern County are good. They get treated like shit, like cops do all over the damn country. But our cops here are good cops. They're good people. And they work hard, and they put their lives on the line every ding-dong day, as Lugnut Larry would say. But the truth is, we got to be prepared to take care of ourselves, because when moments count, the police are 15, 20 minutes away. That's why I have things like this little guy right here. Now, it ain't much. It ain't much. It's just a Ruger 1022. But it's a damn good weapon. It's a fun plinker. And yeah, it's only a 22 caliber, but it's one of my favorite guns. It's one of the most fun guns you can shoot, is the Ruger 1022. This is the most popular 22 rifle there is on the market today. And it's got a really nice Simmons scope on it here. It's got I got the 30-round magazines on it. These are grandfathered in. All right. What really makes this weapon special is the fact that it's black. Huh? It's black. It's an EBR. And this is a fun gun to shoot along with the ARs. I've got ARs in 22 platform and 223, of course. But this gun is such a blast to shoot with absolutely no recoil whatsoever. And it's got the little tripod guys here, for in case you need some precision shooting and you need to secure it. You really don't actually need that, but it's a fun gun to have around the house. And as quick as you pull the trigger, this baby can fire off. And like I said, she's an EBR which you all know is very special. You know what I'm saying? These evil black rifles are just absolutely some of the most beautiful, most attractive guns you can get. Now, see, this gun would be illegal in Joe Biden's world. If Joe Biden gets hell's bells, this isn't even a gun, and this would be illegal in Joe Biden's world. If Joe Biden gets elected, this, which isn't even a gun, you probably know exactly what this is, right? You guys know what this is? What this is a knife in the shape of a gun. Isn't that cool as hell? My buddy Mike give me that. That's a beauty right there. Yeah, but you know what? Because it's shaped like a gun, it would be classified in Joe Biden's world as a firearm, even though it's a knife. But that's what we got to deal with, folks. So don't forget this election coming. I know we say this all the time. Oh, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Holy crap, is this one ever? So make sure that you get out and vote. Now, that is if you're going to vote for Donald Trump. Now, the turnout this year is expected to be the highest ever. Now, what is it? Is it November, Bob, what is it, November 3rd? Yeah. You sure? We want to make sure we got the right day. Is it November 3rd, Bob? Yeah. Okay, my producer, Bob, tells me Election Day is November 3rd. That'd be Tuesday, November 3rd. My calendar just fell off the wall. Hang on a second. Let me put it over there. November 3rd. Now, the turnout is going to be huge for those of us who are voting for Trump, okay? Those of us that are going to get out there and reelect that motherfucker, okay? So just so you know, that because of the huge turnout, they want to avoid having to having to deal with too big a crowd at the polling place. Now we've got the mail-in thing. I've done mail-ins. I've done the absentee ballots, and I've gone down to the polling place and stood in line and get that stupid little sticker that you put on there. I voted. I've done that before. I prefer to sit down and spend my time filling out the ballot at home, the official ballot. And then rather than mail it in, because I don't trust them motherfuckers at the post office, is to take it down to the polling place and hand it to the people so they put it in their little I don't know what the hell they put it in a bucket or some shit like that. So anyway, that's the way I like to do it. But because this year is going to be, they say, an extremely high turnout, the what is it again? Okay, the Federal Board of Elections, the FBE, the Federal Board of Elections. Bob, why do you sound like Pinocchio?
Because I got a wooden dick.
Oh, okay. Did you hear that? I don't know if you caught that. So the Federal Board of Elections has determined that because of the fact that they're going to have a huge turnout, all Trump voters are being asked to go to the polls on November 3rd, okay? On Tuesday, November 3rd. And then all of the Joe Biden voters are being asked to please go to the polls on Wednesday, November 4th. Now, the reason for this, and it makes perfect sense when you stop and think about it, is that we don't want any violence at the polling places, okay? So make sure that you make note of that. If you plan on voting for Joe Biden, the FBE, the Federal Board of Elections, is asking you to please don't vote on November 3rd on Tuesday. Wait until November 4th on Wednesday, because they don't want to. They just don't want to put every. It's kind of like putting I don't know. It's kind of like it's fire and ice, man. It's oil and something water, oil and water. You can't mix them together. The Biden voters and the Trump voters. You can't put them in the same room together. You can't put them in the same line together. It's just not good. So in order to see to it that we don't have any disruption in the electoral process, you say, what the Federal Board of Elections, the FBE, is requesting is that all Joe Biden voters please wait until Wednesday. Plus, you're going to have just this huge crowd of people. Wait until Wednesday, the 4th of November. Now, you guys hear me, right? Please tell everybody on your social media about this, because they're trying to get the word out, and some folks may not know it. In fact, they will be asking folks, you're going to be voting for Joe Biden. You show up on the 3rd, you'll be sent home. So all you Joe Biden voters out there, all you Democrats. Now, Democrats are going to, now see, wait a minute. All right, let me correct myself, because I almost said it wrong there. And I want to make sure that I get it right, because God knows I'm fallible. All right, sometimes I get things wrong, and I just got it wrong. It's not just Democrats, okay? But anybody who is planning, I don't care what your party affiliation is. I mean, after all, John Kasich is going to go to the Democrat convention and speak in place of Joe Biden. So there are, there's some Republicans some traitors to America, like Kasich. You know his dad was a mailman. Did you know that, Bob? Did you know that John Kasich's daddy was a mailman? Yeah, I think I did. Okay, just wanted to make sure. If you're going to vote for Joe Biden, doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat or Independent or Libertarian or Green Party or whatever, if you're voting for Biden, show up on Wednesday, November 4th. If you are voting for Trump, show up November 3rd. Okay? Show up November 3rd, Tuesday, November 3rd. And that's the new rules in order to, it would kind of like be kind of like putting, it'd be kind of like having a concert with, it'd be kind of like having a concert where you've got Keith Urban, okay? You got Keith Urban, and you've also got Hank Williams Jr. on the same bill. You really wouldn't want to do that, because the fans, they don't mix. The Keith Urban fans and the Bocephus fans, they just don't mix. You don't want to put them in the same arena together, because all the Keith Urban fans, they get their asses kicked. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, kind of like, you don't want any disruption. You don't want any distractions. You don't want anybody getting hurt. Kind of like putting the Hells Angels and the Mongols together in one bar. That's really, really bad. It's not advised, okay? Just to be perfectly honest, it's not advised to do that. So that's the reason. So just make sure you pass that along to everybody. This is Jaz McKay, and we are live in my living room in beautiful downtown Oildale, and we'll be right back with more fun and cat-squalling action and some news for you right after this.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Einstein's Express, where we move your package so fast that we actually break the time barrier. In fact, we guarantee that your package will arrive at its destination at least 12 hours before you send it. Einstein's Express, when it absolutely, relatively, has to get there the day before yesterday.
In your opinion, is socialism a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, I think people kind of throw that word around to try to scare you. But if helping people is socialism, then I'm for it.
It could really benefit our country in the future.
I think it's a good idea.
Socialism as a concept, as a philosophy is good. I think that it's got a bad rep.
Trying to spread the wealth is definitely a good thing in America, and it's definitely a thing that's needed.
There's a lot of things with social welfare that I think would be good to have.
Do you have a positive reaction to socialism or a negative one?
I'd say a more positive one. I'm definitely more open to it.
We should have a standard of living for all people. Okay. Just by default, that should just be available.
If we did it democratically, then we could really incorporate socialism.
Like, it definitely seems like a more feasible option, and it could help more people. Like, just as a broad term, it could help more people.
How would you define socialism?
I mean, honestly, that definition gets thrown around a lot. I'm not exactly sure.
How would you view what socialism is, though? Economically, what is socialism?
Economically, So, I'm gonna think about that for a second.
I guess just specifically just, getting rid of that wealth gap in the United States.
How would I describe it as little words possible? How would you define socialism?
I mean, it's definitely more of an open form of government, and it feels like a lot more accessible to a lot more people. And that's kind of how I see it, like being more accessible and more kind of like equal ground. Yeah.
What does that mean necessarily, though?
To be quite honest, I don't know.
You are an idiot! Pushing your buttons and pushing the envelope on free speech. It's the Jazzman. Jaz McKay on Twitch.
A political philosophy. We always advise that you know exactly what that political philosophy is that you're getting behind. So, once again, if you are voting for Joe Biden, remember now, folks, the federal board of the federal board of election. Ah, yes. Well, that would be in China. The Federal Board of Election would be in China. And so we're advising you, if you are going to vote for Joe Biden, please remember that you want to do that on November 4th. And be sure and pass the word along so we make sure everybody knows. We make sure everybody knows about that, okay? Some interesting stuff, some developments here. Let's see, what do we got here? Planned Parenthood. Okay. Now, this one is one that I've been talking about for years when I was doing the radio show. Margaret Sanger is the founder of Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood, I'm sure all of you watching me know this, but Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, she's the founder of Planned Parenthood. Now, the reason that she organized Planned Parenthood was in an attempt to abort as many black babies as possible. Because Margaret Sanger didn't like POCs. She had a problem with people of color. And she thought, well, the best way to deal with the people of color is to kill them before they're born. And when you stop and think about it, that's actually not such a bad idea if that's your goal. Mine would not be. I love black people because, after all, if it weren't for black people, we'd still be listening to Lawrence Welk music. Because black people gave us blues and jazz music. I wouldn't even be here. Your old buddy Jasmine, I wouldn't even be here because there would be no jazz music for me to be named after. You know what I'm saying? I love the black people. But Margaret Sanger didn't like black folks. No, sirree. So Planned Parenthood, and everybody knows this, and we all do this as conservatives. We all throw this at liberals all the time who are big supporters of Planned Parenthood. Do you know why Planned Parenthood puts all of their abortion clinics in black neighborhoods? Do you know why they do that? Why are you looking at me? Because I'm asking you if you know why, Bob, they put the Planned Parenthood in all the black neighborhoods. I don't know. Simple. It's because the idea is that you give abortions to black women and you kill off the black race. And we say this all the time as conservatives, and liberals just ignore. Oh no, you don't know what you're talking. They've actually tried to say. I've read some articles lately that Margaret Sanger loved black people. No, she didn't. She was a devout racist. Planned Parenthood, and here you go. Ready for this? Planned Parenthood of New York is moving. This is in theblaze.com. Is moving to remove Margaret Sanger's name, the founder of the organization, from its Manhattan clinic. And get this, here's the reason, quote, harmful connections to the eugenics movement, unquote. Wow. So Planned Parenthood is actually admitting that Margaret Sanger was a eugenics supporter, and that's by the way is eugenics. That's basically it's another word for a genocide, basically. Okay, just basically kill off as many black folks as possible. It's quote unquote the final solution. And in fact, did you know that Hitler? I don't know if you know this or not, but your Hitler over there in your Germany in the 1930s reached out to Margaret Sanger to congratulate her for coming up with a great idea of killing, instead of marching them all into gas chambers. Hitler was like, that's a very good idea. Start killing them before they are born. Margaret Sanger is very good. I like that idea. So he sent her a letter or something. I don't know. Maybe he messaged her on Facebook or Instagram and said, hey, that's really great what you're doing. A public health nurse, Margaret Sanger, opened the first birth control clinic in the United States in Brooklyn in 1916. Now, this according to the New York Times. The New York Times said that she opened, and they're admitting this, that she opened this clinic and in Brooklyn in 1916 with the intention. And they're finally starting to admit that. You see how liberalism is? They've gotten to the point. Now, I shouldn't say liberal because these people aren't liberal. These are progressive communist, scumbag, totalitarian types. And we must stop them at all costs. But they're admitting. They used to always be in denial about Margaret Sanger. They used to be in denial about a lot of things, like how we're not going to try and take your guns. Yes, you are. Okay, so the left is now saying, yeah, she really was a bad person. But abortion is still a great thing for black people. Hint, hint, wink, wink, So they're removing, according to the New York Times, they're removing her name from the clinic that she founded because of her connections to the eugenics movement. Isn't that just a kick in the ass? They finally admit that that's the reason that she created Planned Parenthood and pioneered the first birth control clinic in America. They finally come around to admit. They're not afraid to admit stuff like that anymore. But the New York Times is also reporting that Sanger, because she supported eugenics, needs to have her name removed. The newspaper defined eugenics as, quote, this is where they're trying desperately to hold on to, they're grasping at straws, trying to hold on to this whole idea that Planned Parenthood is a good thing. They defined eugenics as a discredited belief in improving the human race through selective breeding, often targeting poor people, those with disabilities, immigrants, and the POCs, the people of color. Well, they're trying to downplay it as if it's, oh, well, there was no chance that it would happen. Does it matter? You know, that's what kills me about the New York Times here with this article. They're saying the removal of Margaret Sanger's name from the Planned Parenthood building is both a necessary and overdue step to reckon with the legacy and acknowledge that Planned Parenthood's contributions to historic reproductive harm within communities of color. They're admitting it finally. But then the New York Times is trying to say, well, eugenics has been discredited, so it was never possible. Does it matter? Don't intentions mean anything at all? God, the left is so... Liberals are so fucking stupid. Just unbelievable. And have you heard, if I'm curious to any of you out there who are watching me here today, are any of you QAnons? Any of you? Because you're not allowed to use Twitter anymore. If you're a QAnon, you are now no longer allowed to use the Twitters. No sir, no flipping way. If you're a QAnon, you are banned from Twitter. As it turns out, Twitter has gone and just kicked off thousands upon thousands of QAnon accounts. Twitter announcing on Tuesday, what is it about free speech that these social media giants like Twitter and Facebook are so afraid of? They announced yesterday that they were banning thousands of accounts espousing the QAnon conspiracy theory and took steps to limit the spread of the topic or any topic relating to QAnon on its platform. The company announced the action in a statement on Twitter. Here's what they said. Quote, "We've been clear that we will take strong enforcement action on behavior that has the potential to lead to offline harm." See where they're going with this? It's a thought crime. In line with this approach, this week, we are taking further action on so-called QAnon activity across our service. So, what they've done basically is gone in and looked for anybody who has maybe the name Q in their screen name or anything that even remotely looks as if you might be a follower of the QAnons, and kick them off of Twitter. What is it about? What is it about these guys? What are they so afraid of? The company goes on, by the way, to say that it would be shutting out content from anyone with a QAnon account. I didn't know that QAnons had specific accounts. Who knows? Anyway, they'll be going after trending topics, recommendations, and they'll work on preventing, highlighting the content, and block any QAnon content from being shared. A Twitter spokesman said the company has banned 7,000 accounts so far and is trending toward 150,000 accounts. Holy shit. In August, CNN suggested that President Donald Trump was sending coded messages to QAnon supporters based on his use of the number 17 and the group's belief that the number has a special meaning. That the president and other members of the administration often send coded messages of support for QAnon is a pillar of faith for... You know, here's the thing. If Twitter doesn't believe this stuff, I mean, look at it this way. Twitter is admitting that they believe the QAnon conspiracies, right? Now, isn't that what you take from this? If they're going to kick people off because they talk about or espouse the QAnon theory and then they say, well, this is dangerous. Yeah, dangerous to who? The deep state? I actually heard that this morning on the Fox News on KNZR, on KNZR. They have the Fox News service at the top of the hour every hour, and they actually said that one of the reasons that Twitter says they're going after the QAnons is because they keep insisting that there is such a thing as the deep state. And I'm like, well, there is. What the hell is the matter with these people? Of course there's a deep state. We've witnessed it. We just witnessed it. The last 3.5 years. The FBI, the FISA court, all of that, the Russia conspiracy. Hello? Deep staters are responsible for that. Obamagate. All of this stuff that's being exposed. And now Twitter, you know what? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Just how close to the truth that Durham and Barr have gotten. If they're taking it upon themselves over at Twitter to start deleting accounts of anybody who is espousing the very dangerous philosophy of the QAnons. I know a lot of QAnons, and not one of them has ever expressed any tendency towards violence, other than, like I was saying earlier, in support of self-defense. So what is so flippin' dangerous about the QAnons? If they're so full of shit, why don't just leave them alone? I think this is proof, at least the hierarchy in Twitter believe that the QAnons are right. I'm just, folks, I'm just saying. Anyway, so before we get out of here, I thought, do we still have that up there? Okay, let's do this. Bob has been so kind as to find this video. Now, see, that's not going to work, Bob. Let's try it up there. That one right there. We go. That one should work. Let's go. Now, according to Bob, who tells me that this is, in fact, the video of the mayor of Chicago blaming gun violence. Let's see if we've got
putting themselves at risk, and they can be part of the solution.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about this past weekend. There were obviously clashes between people protesting the Christopher Columbus statue. It left police officers and protesters injured. At the same time, the city continues to see a sharp rise in gun violence. So what are you doing right now to try to address these problems from growing and getting out of hand?
Well, let's take them one at a time. Look what we saw on Friday night in our Grant Park at Christopher Columbus is really a tragedy. We had a group of people who were out exercising their First Amendment rights, and their peaceful protest got hijacked by vigilantes. If you saw the video, it's frightening. These people came armed for a fight. They dressed in all-black outfits. They wore goggles to prevent the effects of any tear gas, which was not fired. But they came armed with weapons to fight the police. They had frozen water bottles. They had other projectiles. They were shooting off fireworks at our police officers who were there to protect their First Amendment rights. I'm never turning over the streets of Chicago to vigilantes. That is just not going to happen. We are actively investigating. We arrested many. Now, that doesn't justify any excessive force against protesters. That's never acceptable either. But in this difficult time, what I hope that we are continuing to emphasize is that even though we may have different views on a range of issues, we've got to build bridges to each other, and so that we can find that common ground.
I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the bridges that we have to build.
Protests.
What a bunch of rhetoric from these fucking politicians.
Vigilantism that we saw on full display on Friday night.
Vigilantism.
Mayor, I only have a few seconds left, but I have to ask you before we go. President Trump has already deployed, as you know, federal agents to deal with similar violence in Portland, and he's hinted at doing the same thing in Chicago. What's your reaction to that?
Listen, I'm not having anything like what happened in Portland. I've been very clear. I'm a former federal prosecutor. There are a number of things
that explains a
President
lot
Trump
there,
could do to
Lori.
help, starting with passing common sense gun control. There are way too many illegal guns on our street, and that is the primary driver of the violence. But I'm not going to allow him to deploy secret federal agents
wait a minute. Let's
to
run that back.
arrest
I want to
people
make sure I
without
heard that
on our
properly.
street, and that is the primary driver, starting with passing common sense gun control. There are way too many illegal guns to help, starting with passing common sense gun control. There are way too many illegal guns on our street, and that is the...
And how the hell do you expect, in all honesty, Mayor Lighthead, how do you expect, what the hell kind of gun control do you expect anybody to pass that would get the illegal guns off the streets? The only thing would be the confiscation of all guns. You know what I'm saying? When she's talking about gun control, she's talking about taking away your guns, not the guns of the criminals. That's the God's honest truth. These idiots are talking about taking your guns. Okay, wait a minute. I got to do that. Okay, yeah, you're allowed to call her an ugly bitch. Yeah, I had a thing there in the chat room I had to do. Hey, listen, Mayor Lighthead, Mayor Lightfoot. What is it? Is it Lightfoot? It is? Okay. Mayor Lightfoot. Hey, listen, law-abiding gun owners are the only people affected by gun laws. Don't you get it? You're a federal prosecutor. You dumb, ugly bitch, you. And you can't figure out that criminals, just by the nature of being criminals, don't obey laws. Pass all of the gun control legislation. By the way, Mayor Lightfoot, doesn't Chicago already have the strictest gun laws in the country? What more do you need? Oh, that's right. These leftist liberal mayors of these cities that are being overrun with gangbangers and criminals always say the same thing. Oh, our gun laws work. Our gun laws work. It's just that the people are bringing in the guns from neighboring states where they have more liberal gun laws, where you can buy an evil black rifle with a 30-round magazine. No, wait a minute. They don't call them magazines, right? What do they call these things? What do they call these babies right here? Oh, that's a clip. A 30-round clip. No, it's not. It's actually a magazine. Clip is something you put in your hair or you smoke a doobie with, okay? But these guys will say the same thing. It's not that the gun laws they have that don't work. Oh, no. Our gun laws all work. Our gun laws work perfectly. It's just that it's not that criminals don't obey our gun laws because it's that people are bringing the guns in from Michigan or Indiana, or they're bringing them in from some other city that doesn't have as strict a gun laws as we do. That's where all the guns are coming from, because they sell guns just south of us. Because Toledo has a gun store too, then that's where all the gangbangers go to get their guns. Is they go down to Toledo and they get their guns. That's what they do. And then they come back to Chicago and they shoot the place up and they kill people and shoot them. It's not our fault. We're liberals. We have laws against guns. So we need more laws because we got more crime and more guns. That's God's honest truth, man. That's who these people are. That's who you're dealing with. And I don't blame Donald Trump in the least in going after these leftist wackadoodles in these cities. Let's not forget who these people are. Here's I don't know, man. I don't know. I got to tell you, the God's honest truth. They scare the living daylights out of me, these people, because they're just so fucking stupid. They are just so, they're just so fucking stupid, and they have power. And that should scare the hell out of anybody. How in the hell? What on earth do people, what are they thinking when they elect these people like Lori Lightfoot? I just, it's mind-boggling. It really is.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail. Period.
Okay. You get down now.
And we have to arrest you and put you in jail.
2, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail. Period.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool.
Yeah.
And fuck you, I'm out.
That's my favorite. Oh, wait a minute. We got to watch that one again. You got to watch that one again.
2, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail. Period.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool.
Yeah.
And fuck you, I'm out.
Oh, that's just, it's just too good. I just get such a charge out of those little memes like that one. That's my favorite. Well, this one is still good too.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you.
And we will put you in jail.
2, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail. 2, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail.
It's the best. I got those. By the way, both those videos are on my YouTube page. Go to my YouTube channel. Go to the Jaz McKay Show on YouTube. Subscribe. Watch as many videos as you can. And give me thumbs up over there. All right? That's going to do it for me. We're out of here. We shall return tomorrow. Right here. The Jaz McKay Podcast Extravaganza. I will see ya.
And we will take you to jail. Period.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool.
Yeah.
And fuck you, I'm out.